Since yesterday, I want to talk about renewables and I want to talk about oil and some lies that the president is spouting because they've been on my mind and they feel really bad when I keep hearing them. The president says we are oil independent. The president says we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. This could not be further from the truth. There are needs for fertilizer, urea fertilizer, is very important to our farmers. I think we should get our dependency off of it and go more for sustainable agriculture because urea fertilizer is made with fossil fuels, but we import it from the Middle East. So there's one instance. Also, even though we are a net exporter of petroleum, in fact, we import a lot of petroleum because of to keep our refineries going with a heavy crude, and we export our light crude. So in fact, we import millions of barrels of oil every day to keep our economy going. So the president is telling you another lie. Okay. So we're not independent the way he thinks of it. He's a simpleton. In fact, the world is very interdependent. That's why we're paying so much for gasoline right now. I want to do the right thing for my kids. I've got 3 of them. You've got kids. So when I say my kids, I mean mine, yours. Think for the future, we need to be thinking a lot about renewables. I just told you that we are not oil independent, but also think about this. There are thousands and thousands of AI centers that are planned for the United States. Georgia, in Virginia, in Louisiana, in California, in Arizona. And one of the biggest needs is energy, because when you do a little chatbot talk, like ask questions and stuff, that little chatbot is slurping water for cooling, okay? It really needs a lot of water. It's slurping. Now, the interesting thing is that the companies building these are also really high tech, and they're finding ways to reduce the cooling needs or find alternatives to water. That's why, for example, in Arizona, where there are many plants planned where land is cheap and water is scarce, the AI plants really haven't impacted water supplies yet, according to an article in Grist that I read. It's far less, it seems, than 1% of the total residential demand for water in Arizona. That's because AI companies are coming up with new ways to cool their facilities. Now, the way to improve this would be for Congress to go to work with some really smart people, wise people who think like you and me. And we should create regulations that incentivize all of these AI centers to go with the safest, cleanest forms of energy. This is why the president of the United States is a dimwit when it comes to renewables. His whole campaign against wind, for example, is generated by a personal peeve that happened in Scotland because the Scottish do use wind power and they put some windmills up the coast where he had a golf course. Too bad he couldn't think of the we, that we all benefit from this. We have all these AI centers, and President Dimwit wants us to go back to coal and petroleum. These are perfect for renewable experiments, whether it's in battery storage. We should be tapping more geothermal for energy, solar and wind. For example, if you're going to put in AI centers, you can find areas where the wind is particularly strong and consistent. And that would be a smart way to place AI centers. On the other hand, you really don't want them where there are going to be issues with water shortages. But this is something that Congress should be thinking through and helping guide. I mean, we've all seen these people. Bill Gates is on the Epstein list. Elon Musk is on the Epstein list. Peter Thiel wants to subvert democracy. We don't really want them leading the way. We want to give them some guide. Zuckerberg is another one. We've got to give them guidelines. And we, the people, have to give Congress guidelines. Now, there is no big movement to give guidelines for AI centers because Congress isn't doing its work anyway. And the president has gone gung-ho on no regulations for AI centers, which is insane. But we, the people, ought to be thinking in that direction. So this is my first attempt at educating you on AI centers. I'll do some more reports because there are thousands and thousands going up. One may be going up in your community. And what you don't want is more benzene, toluene, ethylene oxide being spewed into the air you breathe. You don't want your water supplies being usurped for industry over your personal needs. But you want the tax base, you want the jobs, so you got to guide them. That's not happening. We need you and me to be more active voicing to our Congress people what is needed. I'll do more research in this area and keep you updated. This is the Heartland Podcast. This is David Steinman. You can get my YouTube podcast at Official David Steinman, and subscribe to my newsletter at Substack, David William Steinman. I'm at By David Steinman at Twitter. I will harmonize all these one day. For now, I'll talk to you soon. And let's keep thinking about these issues in the future for the sake of our children, your children, my children, because we love this country. We love what it stands for at its best. And I love all you guys. It's great to talk to you.